Welcome to Sense of Style. I'm Stuart. From the very first spray, these do not hold back. There's no warm-up. There's no opening act. These fragrances just come out swinging. These are scents with impact. And if you want to wear a fragrance that makes you feel like you're showing up with intent and not just showing up, this is the list for you. Fragrance number 1 is Guilty Absolute, and I read 2 things about this fragrance that I have never read about a fragrance before. Gucci actually came out and said that this fragrance was a commercial bomb. Fragrance houses don't do that. They keep it to themselves. They're notoriously private, but they admitted this was a bomb for the average person. The average person hated it. So why is it still here? Because the fragrance community adored it, because this is niche-like. It's very different. It's very odd. It has what I like to call controlled dirtiness. So it's got a dirty, nasty quality to it, but it's on purpose. It's a controlled dirtiness. And the only fragrance that I can think of in my life that's similar to that is Dior Fahrenheit, because it smells like gas. But people love it anyway, and that's exactly like this. This has got a very strange medicinal smell. It's a lot of woods, it's a lot of leather, but then you've got a cypress note that adds a freshness that make it smell like gross-smelling medicine, but it smells awesome, and it's super masculine. The second thing I read about this fragrance is it's linear on purpose. Now, no one ever comes out and says that because you don't want to have a linear fragrance generally. A linear fragrance is one that smells exactly the same when you first spray it to when it starts to dry down. What you're looking for with really good fragrances is to get different experiences. You get a fresh open, you get a bold mid, and then you get a subtle dry down. Not here. It came out swinging. They wanted you to get that bold masculinity craziness right from the get-go. And of all things, look who made it. I mean, this guy is like one of the most feminine creative directors in the world. He was responsible for making this. He wasn't the perfumer. That was Alberto Morillas, but he worked very closely with Alberto Morillas. He wanted a bold statement because he was new to the house. And boy, did he achieve it, because this is bold. And I think this is ultimately, to my nose, the Fahrenheit of the 21st century, and that's high praise. Fragrance number 2 is Jean Paul Gaultier's Lal Elixir, and this comes out swinging in a completely different way. If Guilty Absolute is challenging and bold, this is sweet and gourmandy and overwhelmingly seductive. It is a complete opposite, and yet it still comes out swinging. You get bombarded with sweetness. Now, this one is not supposed to be linear. They're supposed to be mint and lavender in the open. But I swear to God, I have never smelled mint and lavender in this fragrance until about 3 hours in, because there's so much sweetness. You get bombarded with the vanilla, the tonka, the benzoin, and the honey. It's literally like taking the original La Male and dipping it in chocolate and honey and then pulling it out and then spraying it. I mean, it is super sweet. With all that said, I really do think this is the best fragrance for men in the last 5 years. Not only is it really good, it really represents what's going on with men's fragrances at the moment. It's super gourmandy. It's super sweet. All the critical notes are there. It's a very popular house. It was Fragrantica's Fragrance of the Year in 23. It came second in 24. I think it really deserves that title. Now, the reason that I never ever mention the Fragrance Foundation Awards, this is a perfect example of it. This did not win the Fragrance of the Year in 2022 or 2023 at the Fragrance Foundation. That was Eau Givre, which finished 4th in Fragrantica's voting and is a really nice fragrance. But come on. The Fragrance Foundation Awards are for people that are kind of like an in-group. They like to impress one another, basically. It has nothing to do with popular appeal. I talk about the Fragrantica Awards because we get to vote on that. It's what the people really like. It's what everyone really likes. And everyone really likes this. Fragrance number 3 is Red Tobacco by Mancera, and this, I'm sorry, had to be on the list for this, because that's what this fragrance does. I mean, except for Interlude Man by Amouage, I can't think of another fragrance more perfectly suited to coming out swinging. I mean, this is a fragrance that it just doesn't care. It doesn't care if you're all the way across the room. I mean, this thing, most people say 8 to 10 feet of projection. That's a long way. And I really believe it. I mean, I can smell this. I'm holding this down here and I can smell it. And I haven't even sprayed it. I mean, it is strong. Now, it's not a linear fragrance though. It actually starts spicy. It's nuclear spices, but it still starts spicy. You're going to get nutmeg. You're going to get saffron and cinnamon. And after 2 or 3 minutes, then you get everything else. And boy, this has a lot. You're going to get vanilla, of course. You're also going to get oud. You're going to get tobacco. You're going to get incense. I mean, just about everything. I think this, though, when you look at oud and incense and you look at the other sweetness, I think this is another fragrance that I think is a really good sort of East meets West, because you got a lot of Western things like the vanilla and a lot of the spices, and then you've got the incense and the oud. I think it's just perfect. It's going to appeal to a lot of different people. Super bold. I think it is the most popular fragrance from Mancera, and I also think for men, it is the strongest Mancera fragrance. It had to be on the list. Fragrance number 4 is Versace Aeros, and this is the very first fragrance that truly overwhelmed me. This is about my 5th or 6th fragrance I purchased, and this is why I'm always saying wear appropriate fragrances for appropriate seasons. I put this on in the summer, got into a car, went for a drive, got lost. I put on too much. And after a couple of hours driving around with this on, I did not want to try it again. I literally 6 months before I wore it again, I was just so overwhelmed by the sweetness. I mean, it is strong. I mean, I think it's a fantastic fragrance as long as there's a little bit of cool air. I think every season but summer would work for this. But yeah, summer, it's not ideal. Somebody wrote an article. They talked about the most searched for fragrances on the internet. This was last year. This came 3rd. That's 12 years after this came out. So, I mean, that's how iconic this is. This led to an eau de parfum, a parfum, a bunch of flankers in the Eros line. The Eros name now actually means something. Originally, prior to this fragrance, Versace was kind of a clean, sophisticated line to a certain degree. But she wanted a clubbing type of fragrance. She came out with this. And I think really, you know, that is true. The sweetness of Eros, in all of the Eros fragrances, there's a little bit of sweetness, and it's more youthful. It's more loud. It's more of a clubbing scent. And yeah, and I think it's its king. I think it worked wonders. But yeah, it is not shy. So be careful when you wear this one. Fragrance number 5 is Dark Rebel Rider by John Varvatos. And this fragrance really does come out swinging. It is exactly the way it looks. It's got a leather biker kind of feel. It's got a leather biker kind of smell. It's a lot of leather, and it's a lot of powerful but pleasant resins. So it's a very dark, resinous fragrance with leather. That's what I get more than anything, though, is the resins, with just a little bit of sweetness. So there's total balsam, olibanum, and a generic resin note to go along with the leather. It really does start strong, though. You know, this one is not shy in the beginning. When you first put it on, you really notice it. I just wish it lasted a little bit longer. I haven't worn it in a while. I wore it yesterday for the first time in an age. And oddly enough, I was really surprised at the performance. I thought it performed really well. I noticed it on my skin for the first couple of hours. But generally, the knock on this is longevity. It doesn't last that long. But early on, yeah, there's a really nice amount of projection. And as you can tell, I mean, this was basically designed around the fact that the John Varvatos building at the moment took over the old CBGB's, which was a rock club back in the, I think, 70s and 80s. And so, yeah, this is the rock and roll version of it. It's niche-like in how different it is. I'm not going to say in terms of quality, because it's not a niche fragrance, and certainly not in terms of performance, but in terms of how different it is and how original it is very original. And it's pleasant, too. And it definitely comes out hard. Before I get into fragrance number 6, let me just say that I am super familiar with the house that I'm going to be discussing next. And I know how long the average fragrance lasts and how much they project. And I can honestly say that this is by far, and I probably tried about a dozen of their fragrances, this is so much stronger than everything you get at this house. And it is an incredibly strong in-your-face fragrance, even though it has kind of a unisexy reputation. It is the Replicas line by the Fireplace by the house of Maison Margiela. And yeah, this thing is in your face. It is a lot. It's very, very sweet in a pleasant way, but it really does have a smoky sort of chestnuts roasting on an open fire kind of feel. And that's really what they were going for here. So you get the fire part with the Gaiac wood is quite smoky. There's obviously chestnuts. There's a lot of vanilla and a really nice vanilla. Then you're going to get things like Tolu balsam, cloves, and cashmere. And I think the cloves note are important here because cloves are so challenging. And I mean, I don't know too many women that are like, yeah, I love cloves in my fragrance. Men do. We like stuff like that. I mean, cloves are bold. They're kind of in your face. And this definitely has an in your face element. But ultimately, though, I think this is one of the best fall fragrances of all time. Whether you're a man or a woman, it's just cozy and it's absolutely perfect for fall. The nickname of fragrance number 7 is the Black Beast. Enough said. This is Xerjoff's Regio. And here's the thing about the house of Xerjoff. I've started to get a few of their fragrances, and I think their well-known ones like Neo and Naxos are very popular. But you get a lot of weird stuff that kind of most people aren't aware of. And I bought one of those recently called Comandante, and I really enjoy it. However, I do think this one, this is Regio, is an undiscovered gem. I think this is a very complex fragrance and might confuse a few people, but in terms of quality, in terms of how nice the scent is, I think a lot more people should be aware of this. Now, it is, as the name says, a black beast. Like we're talking 10 to 12 hours in terms of performance. But the one thing this has that really would appeal, I think, to older men, and this is a men's fragrance, is the geranium and carnation combination that makes it somewhat similar in kind of in certain facets to Old Spice. Now, it's a lot different than Old Spice. It's got a lot of sweetness as well. There's quite a lot of vanilla here. You've got a fruity plum note. There's so many different things. You got lavender and citrus notes. There's many, many different facets. But I think that carnation and geranium combination, that Old Spice feel, would make it appeal more than anything to the older population, to older gentlemen. I think it is much more modern than Old Spice because of the amount of sweetness you get, because of the amount of vanilla, and the quality is definitely there. I just wish I'd actually got a bigger bottle because this is becoming like a cold weather staple for me. It's actually that good. Fragrance number 8 is a weird one. This is Kenzo par Homme Eau de Parfum, and this is a fresh fragrance that lasts on my skin, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours. However, it's different, man. It's very different. This is not a blind buy because aside from C notes, and the Kenzo par Homme line is very much a fresh fragrance, marine line. And so there's a lot of C notes here, but you also get Akagali wood, which is kind of like a spicy patchouli. And then you also get a lot of leather. So this is kind of like, you know, tons of leather, and it's just a weird mix. And so it's one of the most challenging aquatic fragrances I've ever worn. I can see this being kind of a niche scent where if you like aquatics, but you want to be more masculine, you want to get that leather feel, you could really enjoy it. But yeah, it's different, but it is so not shy. It is just so out there. When you get that first whiff of leather, it's like, whoa. So yeah, this one, yeah, definitely comes out swinging, especially for an aquatic fragrance. Anyway, so yeah, I got sick of talking about like sophisticated fragrances, and you know, and I'm sure you guys did as well. I wanted to mix it up, wanted to go for bold fragrances today, and yeah, I got a few for sure. Anyway, thanks for watching.